Hello, welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button. If you love me, subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. Your headlines are on the top right or top left, or however your setup shows you. So they're all there, but I'm going to read them out to you, then discuss them fully. So, what have we got? Ezra Miller was at the Flash movie premiere. Wow, and he actually spoke, but not to the press. James Gunn has discussed the trunks, whether or not Superman will have trunks in Superman Legacy, keeping his cards close to his chest. Whatever he says, I believe he's already made his decision. I discussed Ben Affleck's future as Batman, considering the Machetes have hinted that the Flash movie may not be his swan song. And brilliant news for Superman fans and Superman and Lois TV series fans. It's finally been renewed for season 4. I told you this would happen. There was a lot of panic out there. James Gunn did assure us months ago that he saw it as a very popular show, and he would like it to go forward for a 4th season and maybe even for a 5th season. It's finally been announced. It's been reduced for 10 episodes. They will reduce the cast as well, the regular cast. There will be a production budget. I don't believe that means there'll be a reduction in quality. I think the budgetary reductions will be in the episode reduction and the cast reduction. So there's no need to worry about that either. We will get into it. Before we get into the headlines and start talking, I want to make it clear that this is a platform that has no intention on shitting on people excited for the Flash movie or people who enjoy it, genuinely enjoy the Flash movie. At the end of the day, this is an entertainment channel, and we want you to be entertained with your entertainment. If you like the Flash movie, that's great. I have had issues with the advanced screening reactions because I think they've been fake so people can keep their access. But at the end of the day, genuine fans, going out, looking forward to something should absolutely be celebrated. Ezra Miller was at the premiere of the Flash movie. Now, they told us he wouldn't talk to any media. He didn't. But he did speak on stage to the crowd there. He did thank Andy and Barbara Machete, David Zaslav, James Gunn, Peter Safran, Zack Snyder. So he had a lot of people to thank, or should I say they had a lot of people to thank. Please don't arrest me for a mistake, right? It's very difficult with these pronouns. It really, really is. But as I saw him walk on that stage, he seemed to be walking very unsteadily. He seemed to me that this guy has been, or this person, they have been in lockdown for a very, very long time. And as I saw Ezra walk on that stage, I felt, kids, don't go to Hollywood. This is what happens. Ezra Miller started out as a child actor, and it's clear that things that have happened to him as a young person happened to them as a young person have really damaged them. And you can tell that this is a very damaged young person. Now, I'm never going to defend the things they're accused of doing. I'm never going to defend what they were charged with doing. It's very, very difficult. It's a difficult situation, but also I don't think we should judge the Flash movie on their behavior. I think that's very, very important. But as I saw them walking across that stage unsteadily, I did feel bad for them. And for me, they are a victim of this industry. But also, as I see them all, having all the flashes, blinding them. I see this industry now as a very soulless kind of entity. And it's very, very sad because I grew up loving Hollywood and loving the people who made stuff for me. I believed in the Hollywood system. I wanted to be part of Hollywood. I wanted to step up on that red carpet and pick up my Oscar. I imagined what kind of acceptance speech I'd make. Now, as a 50-year-old man, I don't see it like that anymore. I don't believe in this system, in this industry. I'm very cynical about this industry. And that's very, very sad for me. It's very, very sad. So they were there. I must admit, they did look really, really good. And they did glam up the whole occasion. And it gets people talking. Of course, Ezra Miller should be there. And my point is, if they're able to thank everyone and address the audience, why can't they do interviews? Now, the official statement was they wanted it to be about the movie and not them. But Ezra, it's already about you. It's already about you because you are there. You are addressing the audience. You're vocalizing the audience. So why not answer some questions? And if they do ask you some controversial questions, be honest, be sorry, take a step back. You'll be amazed how forgiving the public will be if they see you at the premiere being interviewed by the press. And when you're asked about these difficult questions, you say, I did wrong. I apologize. I'm being punished for what I did. And if they ask you about the other stuff you haven't been charged for, you can deny it. And you can admit what you did, be sorry, then we can move on. Silencing Ezra doesn't help the situation because whatever happens, this is about Ezra. Personally, my advice, if you're a DC fan, if you're a fan of movies, go and watch this movie. It is a very entertaining movie. It's not a movie without issues. Most movies have issues. By the way, breaking news right now in my ear, that from 72 million opening domestic, the soft projections have gone down to 68 million. That's official now, I think, from the journalist Dave Baloney. I think Baloney, that's a good name. Or is it something else? Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, used to be with the Hollywood Reporter. I think he's with someone else now. But that's what he's saying. So these, domestic opening box office projections are going down with the Titanic. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure how this film will open. I still think that it may open higher than the projections say. And it could be a situation where they say, ooh, it opened higher than the projections said. Maybe that's why the projections are so low, to make it look like a hit, right? You never know. It's interesting who comes to this movie. And also, if you can't get people to come to a Flash movie, a huge movie like this, and the Flash is a well-known character, and at the end of the day, how can you be able to bring people out to see a Blue Beetle film if you can't make a Flash movie successful with so many cameos? And there's a lot of cameos, and there's one extended cameo sequence you're going to love. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But it was effing excellent. It's the highlight of the movie. It's the best cameo sequence. And as I said on yesterday's live, I would absolutely love to see that. So moving away from Ezra Miller and the controversy and the premiere, I want to talk about James Gunn. Yesterday was Superman Day. Happy Superman Day for yesterday. As a huge Superman fan, every Superman celebratory day is marked by me. I normally watch Look Up Into the Sky, the fantastic story of Superman, or whatever it's called. It's basically produced and directed by Bryan Singer and narrated by Kevin Spacey. Even bad people can do great things, so don't judge me. It's a documentary. So James Gunn on Twitter was asked about if Superman will wear the infamous red trunks in Superman Legacy. He said he hasn't decided yet. James, I don't believe you for one very reason. If you wanted a Superman wearing a great costume without the trunks, you would have kept Henry Cavill, because at the end of the day, if you've got a great Superman with a great trunkless costume, why change that? There's no need to change that. But you wanted to go your own way. I absolutely believe they're going very traditional with the Superman Legacy Superman. So even though James Gunn claims he hasn't made his mind up about the trunks yet, I believe that Superman will wear the trunks in Superman Legacy. Please let me know in the comments, would you like Superman to wear the trunks or not in Superman Legacy? This is my opinion on it. I'm not really invested whether Superman wears the trunks or not, and I'm a huge Superman fan. I don't think it's important. I was actually quite happy he wasn't wearing the trunks in Man of Steel. As I say, I really, really like the Man of Steel costume. It's so cool. But it may be important to you whether or not Superman wears the trunks or not. It isn't important to me, though. So let's look at the other headlines. Right, let's talk about Batfleck. We touched on this yesterday a little bit. So Andy Muschietti claims this may not be the final time we see Batfleck. We see Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman. So it's very, very unlikely that he'll be the Batman in The Brave and the Bold. And I don't think that's the case. I think the only thing we could get here is get to see the written and directed Ben Affleck and starring and produced the Batman movie that Ben Affleck was going to make, which would be really, really awesome. So do I believe that Ben Affleck is done as Batman? No, I believe that we are heading towards a multiversal universe under James Gunn. And in a multiversal universe, it means people like Ben Affleck could recur as Batman yet again. James Gunn, when announcing himself as the co-CEO of DC Studios, did mention the multiverse. So I do believe there's a chance for Ben to reprise his role as Batman again. I believe Henry Cavill and other actors who have played Superman will play a part in Superman Legacy. That's why it's called Superman Legacy. James has already said in the past that he wants Superman Legacy to be respectful of what's gone before in live action. So how do you do that? With cameos and Man into the Superverse kind of movie, kind of into the Spider-Verse movie, is a great way of doing it. And maybe that's why he's calling it Superman Legacy. So I also want to talk about the Flash movie ending. So if you haven't seen the Flash movie, if you don't want spoilers, I suggest you go away now. I'm going to give you some time to go away. I repeat, I'm going to talk about the ending of the Flash movie. I could wait until it's released, but I don't want to. I want to talk about it now because I think it's a very important thing to talk about in context in what James Gunn is planning to do, because the ending was James Gunn's idea. That tells you a lot of things. It's something I touched on last night's live as well, but if we do a live in terms of the DC Universe Daily, it's more of a kind of magazine show that in the evening when I go live, that's random. We can talk about anything in entertainment, anything you basically want to talk about. But this is a DC show and I want to discuss the headlines and I want to discuss the issues. Now, the Flash movie is released in a couple of days. In some countries like this one, it will be released tomorrow. I'm in Cyprus. Ayia Napa, Cyprus, by the way, just in case you were curious. So you understand I want to talk about the ending of the Flash movie. Right. So I need to take you back to how the original ending of the Flash movie was going to be. So Chapter 1 of the movie at the beginning, Barry Allen's in the DCEU Earth 1. There's Batfleck, there's Gadget's Wonder Woman. They're all a thing. Superman's doing something somewhere else. We do see him on newsreel, blah-de-blah-de-blah. You get me, right? So basically, it's the way we left it in Justice League or the Snyder Cut, whatever's your bad, right? Then he decides to, go back in time and save his mum's life. He creates a new universe, an alternate universe. He's now in 2013. Unfolding are the Man of Steel events, but it's an alternate world, so there's no Superman. Zod invades, right? And I won't spoil that element of, Supergirl and the Flashes fighting Zod and what happens there. Anyway, Keaton's Batman is introduced, and Originally, Keaton and Sasha Calle's Supergirl were going to turn up in the new timeline that Barry sets up after he changed things and made it Flashpoint. So they were going to be part of the new timeline. When James Gunn came in, he didn't want to use Michael Keaton's Batman in the new timeline. He didn't want to use Sasha Calle in the new timeline. So they were cut from that ending. So you get me now? So you saw the pictures of Keaton at the courthouse months and months ago. Well, instead of Keaton coming out of the car, and this is the ending, this is not a post-credit scene, this is the ending. Instead of Michael Keaton getting out of the car in the same suit, it's George Clooney's Bruce Wayne. So basically, to cut a long story short, because I haven't seen the theatrical cut yet, but to cut a long story short, Ezra Miller is now in the George Clooney DC universe. So we need to discuss this. What does this actually mean? So, question one, does this mean George Clooney is going to be James Gunn's Batman? Very, very unlikely. Let's say no. So to me, it's more likely that Ezra Miller is now trapped in that DC universe. He's actually gone back to the wrong DC universe, or he's changed things and they've become fucked up. Now, we know there is a Flash movie sequel on ice, but that isn't going to happen, especially if the box office is as bad as projections are claiming to be. Because domestically, I think, if you look at Guardians Volume 3, how well that opened up, 800 million, it's going to do well over 800 million. It's very, very healthy. James Gunn, very happy with the returns of that movie. If the Flash movie opens up at 68, 70 million, it's not going to even reach a climax of 800 million globally. That's how desperate the situation is. You've got to understand, the Flash movie has been promoted having Tom Cruise and Stephen King saying it's a great movie. We've had early advanced screenings of people saying it's the best movie ever, as they always do. And we have the CEO of Warner Brothers saying it's the best CBM he's ever seen. And it's looking like the projections are having none of it. But I'm not convinced yet how this movie is going to open, so I'm not going to react to it. I'm going to wait until we see the Thursday numbers, and I think the Thursday numbers will give us a very good kind of idea how the Flash movie will do internationally and do globally as well. It's a very, very interesting situation. Anyway, going back to the George Clooney thing, I think if you're logical, you know that George Clooney isn't going to be the Batman in Brave and the Bold. Basically, what it looks like to me, James Gunn has trapped Ezra Miller's The Flash in another universe. And maybe we'll go back and see him in the future. Who knows? But he's not going to be involved in the new DC universe. This is his way of dealing with the situation. That's my opinion. That's not a fact. That's my opinion. But what's going to be utterly interesting, because Gunn is a man who has an ego and doesn't know when to keep quiet. So when he's asked on Twitter, once people have seen the movie, James, what's going on here? What's he doing in this universe? It's going to be interesting what James has to say. A, he'll bullshit his way out of it and say, make some kind of thing and deny that he's dumping Ezra in this universe. B, he'll admit it and say he's part of the multiverse now. We could see him at any time. I'm sure there'll be some kind of, balanced answer that doesn't, it basically is non-committal, because that's what Hollywood's like. But for me, Miller's been dumped in another universe, so they don't have to use him. Because in all intents and purposes, I'm assuming we're getting a brand new timeline. Gunn has said that the Flash movie sets up a timeline. Where is it? Because it isn't that one, is it? That isn't the timeline, right? But what's even more confusing for people is the fact that there is a post-credit scene between Aquaman and the Flash, Jason Momoa's Aquaman. So does this mean that now, because of Barry Allen's selfish behavior, that Jason Momoa's Aquaman is now trapped in the Clooney universe? Or is it that this Aquaman is just another version of the Jason Momoa Aquaman, and the DCEU Aquaman is still there? So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is still in the old central timeline. Do you get what I mean? This stuff just confuses the situation, because originally under Hamada, it was going to be very straightforward. Barry changes the timeline. He goes back. Some things are different. Sasha Calle is now part of the new timeline. Michael Keaton is. You go forward with Blue Beetle, part of the new timeline. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, part of the new timeline. And Keaton was going to cameo in both Blue Beetle and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It was going to be very, very straightforward. With what James Gunn's done here now, he's just confusing things. He's just going to confuse audiences even more. And I think that's the problem with this situation. So I want to now talk about the renewal of Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois has been renewed for a 4th season. We don't know if it's a final season. It's been reduced to 10 episodes. The budget will be reduced. The cast regulars will be reduced. I'm not upset about that, because I watched Superman and Lois for Superman and a little bit of Lois, right? I don't really care about the other characters, but what's interesting about this show is Jordan has been set up deeply since season 1. You can't lose Jordan. You can't really lose John either, even though they've replaced the actor, so my relatability with that character now isn't as much as it was. But like the other characters, you will have to get rid of them. And this will be very controversial, because there's quite a big element of Latinx and, inclusive characters in this show. And the main characters are white characters. And we know what kind of environment we live in today. So that's going to be a very hard balancing act. But fans have to ask themselves, what would they rather see? A reduced cast list, or no, Superman and Lois? Superman and Lois is an excellent Superman show. In terms of Superman wearing the costume, it's the best Superman live-action television show ever made. That means I'm not comparing it with Smallville. Smallville is the best comic book television show ever made, in my humble opinion. A decade of consistency, of telling pre-Superman stories. It was great. Cameos, DC characters, a setup of their own Justice League. It was brilliant, and Smallville earned the right to become the superhero show it later became. So, yeah, I'm happy with the renewal. I think 10 episodes is perfect. I don't have the concentration for 20 plus episodes of TV shows anymore. It's too long. It's too filler based. There's no need. It's a waste of time. And 20 plus episodes a year is effing slave labor for the cast and the crew. And there's no need for it. So I think reducing shows to 10 episodes isn't a problem. So 10 episodes of Superman Lois for season 4 is exciting. We've still got a very exciting season finale being teased by Tyler Hoechlin as well. So congratulations to everyone who loves Superman and Lois. Congratulations to the cast and the crew. I know that you've been really hopeful, and the actors are always the last to know in these situations. So Superman and Lois is renewed for season 4, and that's absolutely brilliant. But I do, here on Movies TV Mad, am interested in what you think. So once you go and see the Flash movie, I want you to tag me, not DM me. Tag me on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Very soon, I should have a blue tick by my name, so you'll be able to recognize me. I have a picture of me standing in front of my swimming pool, so you'll be able to check me out. Say at me and say, I didn't like the Flash movie. I loved the Flash movie. And I always like and retweet what you had to say. I know I'm not famous or a big deal, but if you want to tag me and you want a conversation on Twitter about your thoughts and feelings about the Flash movie, if you've already seen the Flash movie, why don't you tag me on Twitter and let me know what you thought of it? What is it today? Tuesday. I'm hoping either tomorrow or Thursday to go and see the Flash movie. If re-watching this, if you're watching the non-live version of today's DC Universe Daily, please smash the like. Don't be tight with the likes. Please comment. They really help the channel. Remember, it's important to support YouTubers who are not very big, who are small. Just because someone hasn't got a big following doesn't mean they're not good at what they do and they can't give you the service that you deserve. I believe I give you the service that you deserve. Yeah, technically, my camera's not very good. Right now, as I'm live, my Wi-Fi may not be great, so I may be cutting off now and again, and I understand your frustrations. But every day I come in and I do you a service. I update you with all the DC Universe news. We talk about the Flash. I sometimes go to test screenings and give you my thoughts and feelings. So I think you get the best service here because I don't lie to you about my faults. I'm not interlinked with the studio, so I'm very direct. Ultimately, and this is not just me talking shit, I'm like you. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of DC. I've been a fan of DC ever since I saw Superman the movie. You know, as a young child, very young child, I sat there with my dad and my brother and I watched Superman the movie. Dad, is that old guy in the white with the curly hair, the spit coal, Superman? That sucks, Dad. Talking about Marlon Brando. No, Michael, that's not Superman, that's his dad. Oh, that's cool. Then I got into the movie and I loved it, and I loved DC. And for many years, I rewatched Superman and loved it, Superman the movie. Then I got into Smallville. Smallville really reignited my love for Superman and captured my imagination. And all I could talk about was Smallville and Superman. I was Smallville mad. In fact, over on Twitter, I used to call myself Smallville mad. All I used to talk about was Smallville. I used to bore the fuck out of everyone who knew me about Smallville and Superman. I mean, I wasn't all there, man. I just couldn't stop talking about Superman and Smallville. It was nuts. I used to be over on Facebook doing. Remember when we used to have the Facebook notes? Every day I used to write like this paragraph, and it was called. And every day was basically called Smallville: The Savior of Superman. And it will be part 2, part 3, part 60. And I talk about something about Smallville. So I was very, very obsessed with that show. So I'm the same as you. I love this shit, or I get angry about this shit. I'm heavily invested in DC, other entertainment like TV and films. I have a broad knowledge about the entertainment industry. I love this shit. And right now I'm very excited to see what everyone feels about this movie. And I don't mind how you feel about this movie, whether you like it, hate it, have different opinions to me, but give your opinions. It's important. Waz007, hi Mick, good morning Waz. Have you seen the Flash movie yet? It's coming. It's coming. We have, apparently it's going to open up at 68 million domestically, which isn't great, but I'm not convinced that's true. But we will see what happens there. But yeah, I have a lot of opinions about the Flash movie. I'm not happy about the motivations of how it was made, the removal of Henry Cavill, the swapping of, Sasha Calais instead of Henry Cavill when they could have been standing together in the movie. I think that Sasha Calais is excellent in the movie. I think some of the stuff they do with her is excellent. She ain't in the movie as much as you may think, by the way. James Akram. Hi, Mick. Did you what the Truth 31 said? No, I didn't, James. Why don't you let me know and I'll tell you what I think. I'm not the biggest fan of Truth 31. I think he runs his platform on hatred, and I think that's rather disappointing, but it gets him views and he's doing very well. So congratulations to Truth 31 for making money and having an audience from being a propaganda merchant. But James, why don't you let me know? Why don't you tell me what Truth 31 had to say, and I'll respond to it. Waz007, very good weather in England. And this is the problem, Waz, because here in Cyprus, we're famous for weather. Because you lot have got great weather, we're getting shit weather. So you're used to the shit weather. It's time for you to have the shit weather so we can have the good weather, so I can go over to Ayia Napa and have a good time. So James Akrap, 231. What is nasty to fan? What is a nasty to a fan I don't understand, James, what you're trying to say, mate. You need to speak in English. I don't really get. Speak properly. You just were talking to me about Truth 31. I asked you to tell me what Truth 31 had to say. Let me know what Truth 31 had to say. You asked me if I heard what he had to say. Tell me what he had to say so I can respond to it. Let's act like logical people. Hunter Iggy, Movies TV Man, what is your thoughts on Andy say Ben Affleck not going anywhere? And do you think Ben Affleck might have Elseworld Batman? I think Ben Affleck may get to finally produce and write and direct and starring his The Batman movie. I think a lot of Snyder fans will be eating some humble pudding after the way they've treated James Gunn if that happened, because I think that Ben Affleck is a man that James Gunn respects. He's already admitted to talking to him. We know that Ben said he would never work on a DC Universe movie. Well, they must have been discussing something. If Ben can finally make his movie, this would get James Gunn a lot of call points. And James Gunn is a filmmaker's person, because James Gunn is a filmmaker himself. And I think you're going to see a lot more refreshing attitudes from James Gunn as he, builds out the Elseworlds and the DC Universe. He'll make decisions that we don't like. He'll make decisions that we do like. The removal of Cavill is a decision that we're not very happy with. I somewhat do understand why he's done it, and it's the way it's been done that I didn't really like. So there's a possibility, Hunter, yes, that Ben Affleck isn't done yet. Ben Affleck has always had a great relationship with Warner Brothers. James crap. Sorry, I made a mistake. What I was meant to say was Truth 31 was nasty to a fan. Truth 31 is very anti-Snyderverse, but what he does is he knows that fandom are very easy to upset, so he winds them up and triggers them. That's how he makes money. When you see people doing that, right? So when I come in and do a video, I'm not here to entice an argument with you. I'm passionate about entertainment, television, and film. I predominantly talk about DC. I give you the updates, I give you the information, and we have a conversation like we're doing right now, James. That's how it should be done. I'll never make money because of doing that, but I don't need to make money from the internet. I'm just here to interact with people who love what I love. You don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to effing well like me, but you can damn well have a conversation with me. So being rude to fans isn't great, but I have been attacked by people on a live before, and I've had to defend myself. Then I have been rude, but being rude for no reason isn't great. But I don't particularly like Truth 31. When I see his videos come up on my YouTube feed, I go over them. I have no interest in someone who's trying to support something that's utterly toxic and, going against the Snyderverse fans as well. Now, I'm a DC fan. I'm not a here for Zack person. I appreciate the Snyderverse. I love Zack Snyder, but I'm not a Snyder stan. But I don't think it's a great thing to be triggering a fandom so you can build up a platform. It means you don't have the ability to build up a platform on your own words. Why is 007? I wish Henry Cavill come back to play Superman. Why is 007? If Henry Cavill don't come back, Superman need full reboot of DC. Well, we're getting some kind of a reboot. The truth is, I don't really know. With the way they've ended the Flash movie, and I did just discuss earlier on before you lot came in, the ending of the Flash movie. I did reveal that. I did decide to talk about it because it does put the universe in an interesting situation. I feel the reveal of the version of Batman means that Ezra Miller is being dumped in another universe and won't be part of the new DC universe. There's no shock there as far as I'm concerned. So we are getting a somewhat of a soft reboot, but I think we will be delving into the multiverse. But it's interesting. James Gunn is his own man and he will do his own thing. Whereas 007 can talk George in the Flash. Yes, George is at the end of the Flash movie instead of Michael Keaton. So if this is Michael Keaton's DC universe, it means that Miller has been dumped in that universe because no way is Clooney going to be Gunn's Batman. No way. unless he is, but I very much doubt it. So Miller has been dumped in there, but we see, Jason Momoa's Aquaman in this George Clooney universe as well. So it's a bit strange, but you can have a version of Jason Momoa's Aquaman in one universe and have another version in Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. But I was also talking about earlier how confusing this is. Now, nobody knows what timeline Blue Beetle's in, or Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Under Hamada, it was pretty obvious. A new timeline's been formed. Keaton cameos in Blue Beetle and Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. It's fine, but now that's not going to happen, and it's somewhat confusing. And Gunn is going to have to come out and explain himself because people are just going to get more and more confused. But they've really spent a lot of money in marketing the Flash movie. So if it's a disaster financially, it goes to show you they've done more harm than good. I think this movie would have made a hell of a lot more money if the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller didn't happen. Ezra Miller cares about this movie, but they conducted themselves in a way that damaged their own movie. They've done what they've done. They can't go back and change what they've done. I'm happy to judge a movie away from Ezra Miller's conduct. I feel bad for Ezra Miller as a child actor who came in, and who knows what they had to go through. But I don't defend their conduct either. Waz 007, I hope to see Ben and Michael and George together for Multiverse Batman film. That would be fun. I doubt it, but who knows? They're desperate enough to do anything. We have a writer's strike right now, so not much is going on. So the last writer's strike lasted for about 100 days, as I mentioned on my live yesterday. So while the writer's strike, and there's a potential SAG-AFTRA actor strike as well. They voted to strike, but they're in negotiations with the industry right now. So it's so complicated. I think it's less complicated for the actors. And I think that's why the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, have agreed to the terms, because it's less complicated for them. James Mick, did you hear that rumor that Disney is selling Star Wars? I've heard the rumor. Unfortunately, the rumor is coming from people like Doomcock and the Fandom Menace. Not that I have anything against those people. I mean, I do kind of consume those videos for entertainment value. I don't believe in what they're saying politically, but a lot of what they say about the industry, I do agree with. But politically, I'm not with them. But we can consume people and like people who are not on the same political conversation as us. I would love nothing more, James, than for Lucasfilm to be sold back to George. Unfortunately, life isn't that kind. But believe one thing, Disney financially are on their knees, like most of Hollywood are right now. The only studio doing really well right now is Universal. Comcast are doing very well. They're the biggest studio in Hollywood. There's no doubt about it. So Disney, like WB, are going to be selling off a lot of concerns. I believe DC could be sold off to Comcast, or WB could be sold to Comcast generally when they're legally allowed to do it. They can't do it yet, but they can do it next year. And also, if DCU doesn't stop, if Superman Legacy isn't successful, then I think that die will be set very soon. That die will be cast very soon. Superman Legacy has to succeed, has to make $2 billion. It has to be popular. But superhero movies are not the thing, because I believe audiences are just getting fed up with the same old movies again and again. Guardians of the Galaxy has people interested in that trilogy. So that's why people came in for the third movie. Into the Spider-Verse, the first one was great. The second one's great. And it's something unique and different. So people are invested in that. That was 007. I hope DC gets sold to Comcast. I think it's going to happen. I think these are studios in big trouble, Waz, which basically means they need to sell their souls to the devil. Hollywood are generally on their knees for many, many reasons, and there's no debate there. And, they're going to sell the shirt off their backs. And I do think Lucasfilm will go to someone. I do believe DC will go to someone. And I think we're going to see also what you're going to see. I think you're going to see writers, good writers, producers, and directors who care about this industry forming small little companies, small studios like A24, and making movies for the art's sake and not the profit. A24 is not run for a profit. A24 is run to deliver the audience art. And as long as they get their money back and a little bit more, they're quite happy. They're not looking to make billion-dollar movies and get rotten tomato good ratings. They just want to make good shit for people who appreciate good shit. They want to move away from people who go, yay, best movie ever. You know, and I think it's that section of the audience that have really damaged this industry. The Avengers audience, you know, wow, yeah, let's scream and shout while we're watching a movie. I can't stand it when I'm in an audience and they start screaming and shouting. It ain't a fucking sporting event. Let me listen and appreciate to the, you know, the movie that I'm here to watch. I'm not here to fucking start chanting, right? I'm here to watch something. So I've never been a fan of this. Yeah, I just saw a movie, man. And the problem with the internet as well, everyone's trying to prove that they're a fan of something. Prove what a great fan they are. Look, I've got all the figures. Look, I've got this. Look, I've got that. James, a crap. I hope DC gets sold to Comcast too. Listen, James, there's no debate here. You know, Universal Comcast are the biggest. We've seen what happened with Mario. We're seeing what they're doing in other places. Now, the reason Mario was successful is because the guy who owns Nintendo took charge. He said to Hollywood, no, we're not going to do a Princess Peach movie. We're not going to make a woke movie. We're going to make a movie about Mario. Now, if you want Princess Peach to be, you know, an independent gal, I don't have any issue with that. But in terms of my characters, I say what happens, not you. That's why that movie was a success. So, but Universal, you know, Comcast, Universal are the biggest. Look what they did to Disney when they tried to buy Fox and Sky TV. They allowed them to buy Fox because they didn't want Fox, but guess who got Sky TV? It wasn't Disney. And that's why Iger had to leave back then, because he promised those board members, those shareholders, Fox and Sky TV, and he didn't deliver. Waz 007, do you think you see cartoon Thundercat and He-Man Defenders of Earth made into live action film? Well, Netflix are making a live action Masters of the Universe film, but considering how they effed up the animated series with Kevin Smith, I wouldn't have any trust on them. In terms of Thundercats, I'm sure they're developing something there as well. But right now, with a Writers Guild of America strike, you're not going to be hearing much about anything. I mean, I'm surprised when I hear anything's in development right now. How can anything be in development when there is a writer's strike? It's a bit odd. So there are your headlines for today. Ezra Miller shows their face. He thanks the studio. He thanks the people who helped him and blah-de-blah-de-blah. He doesn't do any interviews. I believe he should have done interviews. I think this movie's box office could have been salvaged with Ezra talking about the movie, because Ezra has always been very passionate about the Flash character and this movie. James a crap Mick, did you see John Campion's video? You mean the one he had the meltdown? Yes, I didn't see it, but I heard about it because John has got me blocked on Twitter. We had a bit of an argument. You know how egotistical these people are. Once you don't agree with them, they have to block you. They can't handle disagreement. Unless you're stroking them, telling them they're the bestest ever, they're going to block you. So I can't remember what it was all about. I think he attacked people for calling something out for being woke or something. But this is what these people are like. You know, this is another idiot from the Collider, you know, from the old Collider, you know, Snorefest, like that Jeff Snyder, another egotistical little twat who's also recently blocked me. Oh, I'm Jeff Snyder. I'm this, I'm that. You know nothing. Go away. Waz 007, got to go. Take care, Mick. See you later, Waz. So thank you, everyone, for coming in for today's DC Universe Daily. I will keep you apprised with The Flash, with its box office, with Ezra Miller, and what's going on with Superman Legacy. as well. But this has been Movies TV Mad. This has been Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. I am Nick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I may be back tonight with a live episode where we can talk about any film, any TV show, general conversations. Maybe back for that a little bit later on, so look for that. So until I see you later on, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you later.